just going to record both ways just to be on the safe side. Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. I am Cass from Line Runner Tapes, and we are doing a class experience with some actresses that I personally admire very much. I dare to call them booking queens in the commercial world. I've worked with them personally, and it is a pleasure to have them here today because I want them to share their secrets with all of you guys. Because I think that a lot of what they have to say, and I just wanted to kind of pick their brains when it comes to commercials. So let me introduce them really quick. We have Yumaris Morales. I said the last name. She currently has Wells Fargo, Hyundai, Verizon, Invesco, and she had a huge Subaru spot. I remember seeing that all over the place. Hi, Yumari.
Hola.
Hello. We have Susan Song, who also I see on commercials all the time. I see you in a lot of comedy spots, but also in like some heartfelt ones. Yeah. Drumstick, Volkswagen, Allstate, and Walmart are just some of the spots that you've done as of late. And we have Bianca Lopez, who is the spokesperson, excuse me, for Credit One Bank. I'm so excited to kind of like ask you questions about that spokesperson thing.
Yeah. Great.
I want to know all about it. Native Deodorant and Ross are currently airing. Which one was the one for the Super Bowl?
The Native Deodorant.
Oh my gosh, that was such a fun spot.
It was really awesome. And it actually aired prior to the Super Bowl. So it didn't air right during, it didn't get that Super Bowl time, but it got the Super Bowl leading up. So that was good.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. It was very cinematic.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was so much fun. It's always so fun when you get like so much like more to say and do, because I feel like commercials can be so short and that's what's so fun about them. But sometimes it's nice when they really go for it and you get like a scene. That was exciting.
Amazing.
That's a great spot.
Okay, so I want to know, how long have you guys been with your current agents? Have you guys been with the same agent for a long time? Or have you guys jumped around? What has that been the experience as far as commercial agents, like from where you started to where you're at now? Anybody want to speak on that?
Susan started off.
Okay, here I go. I've been with my current agent for about 2.5 years. And then before that, I was with somebody for about a good 7 years. So I've only jumped once, and I don't plan on jumping again.
Okay,
So.
cool.
Yeah.
And you tend to do a lot of what would you say are the type of commercials that you tend to book, or like what is your bread and butter as far as like type or of commercials and type of who you are?
Yeah, so I mean, my agent is, are we allowed to say these names or anything like that? It doesn't matter.
Why not?
It doesn't matter. Anyways, they specialize kind of in comedic, a lot of the comedic talent. Yumari and I are actually with the same agency.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yes. So I usually just only go out for spots that request improv or comedy. So I'm not going out for no K jewelers or anything like that. They don't want me loving me, looking in the eyes.
K jewelers.
Like, no, none of that. It's a lot of like, yeah, so they just want you to, there's a lot of improvising. And then the types that I think I book or I go out for a lot is kind of just like, honestly, like dry, maybe. And just always, I'm always just giving people like judgy looks. But also heartwarming mom sometimes. So who knows? We got a wide range.
That's funny that you say that, because as I do mom all the time, and it's like I have I know that there's certain things that I do, like you're talking about the judgy look. I always go like, Like there's certain looks that I'm like, I know there's a couple of tools that I keep using over and over because of the type. So judgy is something that you specialize in. Let's just-
But mine's not like mine's just like the,
yeah,
just get me out of here. Like, what is going on? That kind of stuff.
I
Yeah.
love it. What about you, Maris?
So similar to Susan, I was with my previous commercial agent, who was my first commercial agent for, I want to say, close to 10 years.
Wow.
And then I got with DPN is our current agent. And I've been with Jen at DPN for the last like 2.5 years. So similar. And she's great. And I would say that me and Susan and I are in the same category. A lot of the spots that I go out for, the breakdown is comedy. Hot.
Yeah.
Super freaking hot, distractingly attractive. Comedy women, improv, must be good in improv. Also moms. And I book a range of things. I mean, the Subaru spot was, I can't remember exactly what the breakdown was, but I was playing like a granddaughter, and it was like a grandma granddaughter situation. And then what's the breakdown? It's like whoever your agent has a connection with, send them through, right? And then for the most recent commercial, Invesco, and so for people who don't know commercial world, like usually the spot will have a hero. So I go out for a hero, a lot. Like, so, those are the people usually with the line, with the most camera time. And I think that mostly comes with experience. I didn't start off jump going out for hero. I was like friend group, ensemble, the person that just was in the montage. And then as you get to know the directors and you work more, they trust you with more stuff. And also the casting offices are like, oh yeah, we know you, Mari, can perform. So let's keep her on the Rolodex on the short list. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Bianca? I know you go out for a variety of things as well.
I do. I go, I do Hispanic market and general market, but I feel I mostly go out for general market. I do Hispanic market when it's like general market is with it too. I don't primarily go out for Hispanic market. So that's always something that that's something that I've learned within like the last 5 years. I was like, oh, I book spots that are just the combination of the two. And I don't know if that speaks to like my Spanish or what I'm selling as far as like, cause I could do both, you know what I mean? And so, and I was born in LA. So and my first language is Spanish, but I wasn't born in like Nicaragua. So, I definitely, my Spanish is different from someone that is native. But it's something that I'm so grateful for. And I'm always like trying to make it better and learn more words and all the things. But I mean, I've been going out for mom roles since like a long time, but I book those, but I book also kind of like the wife, the newlyweds. I still kind of do that category a bit. And it's interesting, like with my Credit One spot, my take on her wasn't to be like this glamorous goddess. Like I thought she was kind of like quirky and fun and like silly and talk too much. And I think that's what booked me. But then they were like, okay, but we want you to be, and then it's changed. It's like gone from like quirky, but then kind of like ground her. And then there was a moment there where they were like, no, we want you like Gal Gadot-y. And I was like, oh, interesting. Okay.
What does that mean?
Gal Gadot-y, like they just wanted me to like be more like Gal Gadot vibes. And I was like,
yeah. Like her, the actress.
The actress. And I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, I don't know what Gal Gadot-y is. Like, write that one down.
Gal Gadot-y?
Interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that I'm never like, remember the Carl's Jr. ads when like the girls would be like eating the sandwich and they were always like super hot? That's definitely not my category. And I know that I'm more the person that like talks and it's like the helpful person or the person that has like the answers to the questions. And things like that. Like I'm not really like the super babe, but I'm also not super quirky. So I'm kind of just like in this fun little, like I can go a little quirky and I can put on an extra, extension and we can get Gal Gadot-y if we have to.
Always the word of the day. I love it. So let's go straight into that, and then I have some more questions for you, Mari and Susan. But
She didn't
talking,
answer her agency question though.
Oh, sorry.
yeah, the agency. Thank you so much for keeping us on
Sorry,
track.
I'm
Thanks,
Uh,
Susan.
have,
keeping
have
track
you been
of
with
everyone.
the same agent, like, or what has been your process as a like for agencies and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got into the commercial genre like later in my acting career, and then I really started to take it seriously, and I got a really good commercial agent and I was with them for like 10 years, but I felt like I changed so much in that time that I needed to change as well. So then I've been with my current agent for the last 5 years. I'm with SBV.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Okay, so talking about the spokesperson, let's just go there.
Yeah.
How was that? Because I know that people get very caught up with the spokesperson auditions, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's presentational, it's this or that." Can you talk to me a little bit about that audition
Sure.
process? And I know that since it's a spokesperson, did you know it was going to be for a series of spots? And how is that negotiated ish?
Yes. Sure. So when I got the audition for the spokesperson, it was a callback. It was a straight to callback. I didn't do the first call. And I was a little just kind of, they were like, she's a goddess. So like look as much as like a goddess as you can. And it was like, okay. And it had a lot of dialogue. And I was just kind of like focused on like just like imagine, because it was like, oh, it would cut between like you can go, I forget what the first script was, and it was something like roller coasters and theme parks and Mount Washington and all these things, right? And so like it had all these like different venues, and so I just got really into like the dialogue of it all. Like I was like, oh, this is so fun, and I didn't really go in with the idea that it was a spokesperson because you never know. But I was so it was COVID. I was 6 months postpartum, and so like my brain was just trying to be present in my auditions, to be quite honest.
Okay.
That I just took that approach. And I didn't know this at the time. The director, obviously, now I have more of a relationship with him, and he's so great. He's so fun. He always plays. And so at that callback, my callback was like 30 minutes. And we were just like playing and doing it and doing it. And then like at the end, he's like, do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I just like let go of the script and totally improvised everything. And I just kind of like went in tangents and did my own thing. And they liked that. So, and this director really, really likes that. His name's David Chaffee. And so he really like enjoys like the process of like improv, and he improvs with you. So he gets in there. So like, it's really just kind of like very much like you're workshopping it, even though like, sometimes a callback is not very workshoppy, and sometimes it is super workshoppy, and sometimes it's a tiny bit workshoppy, but it was really kind of just like it was a long callback, but it was fun because, in a callback, like I just want to
Approach it. You didn't get caught up on like she's a goddess or it's a spokesperson. You just kind of like worked on the material and kind of went about it that way.
And I trusted that like I had a goddess dress on. I mean, it was, it was like, it was 2020. So I was like on a Zoom. And so they could only see this, but I trusted that like that did the work. So I wasn't trying to be like all like goddess-like. I was just like, yeah, I'm me. And this is the situation. And I'm talking to these people that are really fun. And oh, they're kind of like below me, but I'm kind of above them, but whatever. Like, it was just kind of like, I just had fun with the whole idea of the spot.
And how was that? Did you know that it was going to be a bunch of spots? How does that get negotiated?
No, so once I booked it, my agent, she was kind of like, this may be a thing. Like, it wasn't even like a for sure gonna be a thing. It was like, this may be a thing. And so then 6 months after that, we did like a print ad, and there was kind of like some rumors going around at like the shoot of the commercial, of the first commercial, that like, oh, there's a print ad to this in a couple months. who knows? I don't know if I'm coming back or you coming back. Like there was kind of like this like hum about that, but I don't try to get caught up in that. Like I'm just like, I'm working today. I got like all this dialogue. And then we did stuff for like, now you do stuff for social media. So we did all this stuff for social media on top of doing the spot and everything. So like, I just really focus on like being there. I don't really, and my agent being like, oh yeah. And I'm always like when she's like, hey, we're, negotiating this thing. I'm just like, great. Like, I think that like, it's still kind of
Such
like
a
a
Bianca way to approach things. She's like, oh my God, this is great.
I'm all wonderful.
I love
So,
it.
yeah.
Yumari, I saw that your Verizon spot, it was a couple spots. I was like, oh shit, this is airing like crazy. The one where you're the dun, 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 dun.
Oh, that was a really good spot.
Yes, that was awesome. And then I saw that they had other spots. Did you know it was going to be multiple spots? And how was that process for that Verizon spot?
Okay, so I didn't know it was going to be multiple spots until I booked it. So it was interesting because that spot, only 2 people in the carolers group, we were 6, got to be OCP, on camera principal, and the rest of us got to be a group rate, paid a group rate. So so we had to be okay with that going into the audition, that if you didn't book the soloist, and if you remember, anybody watched the Verizon commercials, there is one person in a few spots, they sings like the most, and then we're all just kind of like her background. So I knew that much. And then in the callback, there were like, I want to say at least 60 people there, and they were doing the combinations. But like Bianca, I just had my baby, and I had my baby at the callback because I, at that time, did not have help with childcare. Luckily, I had a friend with me, and we had already been waiting a very long time to start. And so when we did, I kind of finagled my way to be first in the first group to go in. And we like went into this room and we had a rehearsal. 40 of us had a rehearsal with like the song we were going to sing. And all I'm thinking in my mind is like, I got to get the heck out of here because my baby's going to like freak out. So we were the first group to go in, and we did it a few times. And then after, they're like, all right, hang out. We're going to pair you guys. And I was like, I can't. Sorry, guys. Good luck. I got to go. And then I was put on a veil. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then I booked it. And then I was like, I think I was either on a veil or something for like a competing spot. So I was telling my agent like, oh, should I take this? It's a group rate, like, and she was like, take it because it's temporary, it's only going to be seasonal. So it's like, it'll be a quick contract and then you can get released and go out for the other stuff. And then when you book, then you get all the information, like it's going to be this many spots. They also threw in a week of rehearsals. So you got a session rate for each day.
Dang.
It was a week-long shoot. And so each day was a different spot. And yeah, it was pretty iconic because, and we were working, you know what I mean? It wasn't like the good old commercial shoots where like you're there from 6 to 6 and you only shoot for like 2 hours. Like it was like you go, you're in hair and makeup, and then you're shooting for the day. And when you're cut, it's the end. It's like the last shot.
Wow.
So it was a beast, but obviously it's fruitful financially.
Awesome.
So I have a question on that. Then did they already release the hold on that? Because you said it was seasonal.
Yes.
Oh, that's great then.
Yeah, it was released, I think, in February.
Yeah, that's a big category. You kind of don't want to be held in a category.
Right.
Okay, cool. Miss Susan, question. I had a thing that you might ask. Do you have any superstitions about like going first, like in the beginning of a group or the end of a group? Do you ever have any thoughts about that? And also, I know that improv is like such a strong suit of yours. I know that you worked the Allstate job. That was a really big spot. How was it working like in such a big spot? Was there anything there as far as the callback that you could share with us or being on set? So first, the superstition thing.
You mean during callbacks?
Yeah, like, do you mind going
Well,
first?
have you heard that if you're like the top 3 in a callback, that means you're director, client, and agency's favorites?
I always hear that it's really good. It's like, I heard that it's like director really wants you
If
if you're,
you're one of the first ones?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. To get called in for callback. That means like a lot of them want you.
Mhm.
So I always think that's a good thing to be called that
Yeah.
first. I like to I prefer to go when you're going first, sometimes they're working the kinks out, you know what I mean? And they're just trying to figure it out. So there's sometimes like, whatever, but I sometimes like to go first just to get it over with. And also that way they're like, oh, we like that. Or it just depends. Like the one that I just recently booked, I went in first with another guy that was comedy. And like, I know we killed it, and like, I knew after, like, because they were dying laughing, and then I was like, "There, no one's. We're gonna book this," and we did. So I kind of like sometimes doing that, going there and be like, "Yeah," and then like getting out of there. I have gone in last too, but a lot of times it's like they already kind of towards the end they already know who they want, and so it's kind of like they're either like they don't have anybody and they're like please be good, or they already have their person, so then it's like a quick thank you and it's like okay, thank you, bye.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How was your callback for Aiden?
So for that one they were shooting so many different spots, and I had worked with that director before, and it was a lot of improvs. I like with it was like I went in usually like with these directors that I worked with, they're shooting multiple, so then they read you for like a lot of the different spots. I probably in the callback read for multiple. I don't even think I auditioned in the callback with what I actually ended up shooting, and that happens a lot too. I'm always like, what did I book? I don't know. And then on set it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, I didn't even audition for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And since you like improv is something that you do, one of your strong suits, my question is, when you look at a script, as far as your process, do you tend to fuck the lines altogether, or do you do one straight and then you like as far as your self-tape and then also for your callbacks?
I try to get one at least straight, and I may have an improvised button. And then for a second take, I'll just do it all, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So you really kind of like really
I'll make
utilize-
sure like if there's a tagline that's important, I'll say that. I'll make sure whatever is like important to get through in the spot is shown. But I'll try to add a little bit of like Susan's sprinkling or whatever makes it my own.
Okay. Yeah, because that's why they book you, right?
And I if it's a self-tape at home, I will give them so much because they can always take away. I will show, I will go, like, I will make sure like they see, oh, she can like, I will just like improvise. Sometimes I'll just go off for like a minute. Like I did this Jersey Mike's one, and I actually read the instructions wrong. And I realized, but anyways, like I was like improvising about magic, and like and I just like literally went off for like a whole like 30 seconds to my coworker about like magic and magicians and like how it's like wrong, and like you shouldn't be putting animals in like captivity, and you know what I mean. And I'm just like playing this character because it's like you could just, I don't make it like crazy long. I keep, but I'll just add a bunch of stuff because you could always bring me in and like tell me not to say anything.
Totally.
So,
I think
yeah.
that sometimes actors focus on booking the job as opposed to kind of like focusing on showing them that you can do the job, but that if they need to make adjustments or anything like that, like, look, I can do it. And I think that is a key element, especially for directors, that
Mhm.
you are malleable, that you can take adjustments, that you are bringing something, as opposed to like, look, I can book the job. What do you guys think about that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is what keeps probably us three booked, is that we all can specialize in being whoever we need to be for that audition, but your choices and your ego is not more important than the brand and what they want. And so when you go in there and the casting associate or the director, the producer says, "Okay, give me nothing." You have to be able to hear that and say, give them nothing, and not take it as like, I'm too big, I'm too broad, oh, my choice sucked. Like, it is really take an adjustment, because the day of on set, you could go in and not know what role you booked and literally have to perform, or they changed all the lines or whatever. Like, you just have to be malleable, and taking adjustments is very, very key in
Mm-hmm.
commercials.
To add to yeah, like I feel like in callbacks, actors are so in our heads and wanting to do like perfect thing. But I honestly feel like a lot of times people just don't hear what the director is saying. They don't hear the direction that's given, and then they'll be like, okay, and then they'll just do the same thing. Like I've seen this happen when I go in with other people, and then they'll just do the same exact thing over and over. It's like, you're not even like listening to what's just been given to you. And I think that's why, like, yeah, like just being able to hear and do what the director is asking is like, you're already there. I feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tell actors, like, take the opportunity to even like reiterate what they said, and maybe even do it before they turn on the camera, just to make sure that you are listening. Like, even that will help you listen more, and even clarify, even for the director, if they're not being very clear as to what the notes are, that
Yeah.
you guys both are on the same page as to what it is that what they need.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm like, okay, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bianca.
No. I was just gonna say, like, there's this director that's like really particular, and I audition for him all the time, and we've worked together a lot. And whenever he gives me a note, I'm always kind of like like I'm doing it as he's telling me. Like he's like, yeah, and then you're surprised, and I'm like, oh, and so he's like, yeah, kind of like that, but like a little less. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, okay, great. Like now I kind of know the gauge instead of it be, you know what I mean?
And also like doing it on camera, and then having to get that adjustment, like get that adjustment before, so then
Yeah.
when press record, it's exactly what they need.
Yeah.
Right.
Susan, you spoke on like knowing that you booked it. How do you guys in general feel? Like, in general, do you feel like when you walk out of a callback, you're like, oh yeah, I booked it? Or is it most of the time you're like, I don't think I booked it, or I am not even concerned about that? What is your feeling in the room most of the time when you do have an avail or a booking? Do you know ish?
Okay, so I don't want to pretend like I'm some confident like biatch, but normally I am like, what? I booked it? I don't even know what I did. Okay, so that's the norm. Okay. But I don't know why for that one. It's because it was a director I worked with before, and he was so happy to see me. And he was like, oh, so glad you made it. And like, I was making them laugh by doing all this stupid, anyways. And so I felt good after. I mean, I don't know if I booked it, but like, I was just like, I literally walked out the door and I was like, and I never do this shit, and I hate people like this, but I was like, you guys can go home. And that was so douchey of me, but like, whatever. Just came over.
What about you, Bianca, and you, Mari?
Mari, do you want to go? I mean, I feel like I usually am like, I think that was good. Like I feel like if I'm like, I usually do not hear anything. I'm like, that was amazing. Why did I not hear? Like, and I'm like surprised. Usually when I'm like, yeah, I think that was pretty good, because I feel like maybe there's something about it that I'm just like in it that I couldn't be out of it. So like I'm like, I think I did the thing. It's just like, it's such an interesting thing. It's not really like a home run like Susan, where I'm like, yep, You know, it's just like, it felt good. Yeah, it felt good. And then I just try not to think about it because I'm like, okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Go on.
What about you?
It varies. It really varies. I would have to say that the times where I feel like, damn, killed it, I do get put on a veil. And then and I'm like, yep, of course I got a And then when I don't book it, I'm like, hold on, what happened? And because I like, I'm always asking, like, I wonder, who booked it? Who booked it? And it's always, some reason that's beyond my control. And that hurts. That hurts because you gave the best performance, but you look too young. You're this, you're that. They wanted I tell you guys something. This is some tea, okay? I booked State Farm, and it's funny because until Susan, you said it, I didn't know that being 1, 2, 3 on the call sheet for callbacks meant you were the top choice.
I don't know. That's kind of what I've heard.
But it's interesting. It tracks for this story.
Okay.
For this story, I was the first one called back for the State Farm. I was going to be a State Farm agent. And I was the first one in, and so we did workshop
recently.
This was recent. This was like last fall.
Okay, because there's like a big group of auditions for State Farm right now where like everybody's auditioning, and I've helped out a couple people, so I wanted to know if it was like that group.
This was in the fall for like a bunch of the ones that are coming out right now with like celebrity guests.
Okay.
And I went in, I was the first one called in, and then I was workshopping it, and back on the taking notes in the room, the director was like giving me line reads as I'm performing, like say this. And so I was just like, I was saying it, I was whatever. He wasn't calling cut, this, that. It was like, just say it. And I felt really good. And also the other people that were called were also the upper echelon of commercial actors. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of competition, but I feel like I set the bar high. So at the very least, I'm good with my performance. More on that is I always feel good about my performance. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like I always feel really good. So, or, relatively good, depending, whatever. But, anyway, I went on to book this spot, and the day of, I like killed it, and everybody's giving me so much great feedback. Long story short, I was recast, and so you never know what can happen.
But Yumari, I love that you got to shoot it because I've been recast at the fitting, and then I've been recast before the fitting. So
wow.
I kind of love that you got to shoot it.
Okay, well, I also love that for me because my feedback on set was also like, you're killing it. You look so cute. Oh my God, red is your color. Like you're murdering, And then like, it was like, hey, so they're going to recast your role. And I was like,
did they tell you why?
They told me why. And apparently the reason is because my performance and my look is too close to their spokesperson. So they didn't want.
You were too hot.
That part. I was too distracting. I was too. But yeah. So anyway, long story short, I do feel like sometimes you have insecurities no matter what level in the game you are. Like you're gonna have your insecurities, but I also know for a fact, like I'm always giving good work. So if I'm not called back or if I'm not put on a veil, it's something it's not anything I did. And maybe it is something I did, but you can't win them all. Like, let's not be greedy either. We can't sell everything. So.
Wow. And so wait, Bianca, you've been recast before and on the fitting, because I almost got recast in the fitting and then they gave me a different part, and then somebody else had already fit that day and she was recast. And I remember that being such a stressful situation.
It's hard. I mean, and it's also hard when like your agent calls you and you're just like thinking you're going to get nude news. You're like, oh, did I book that other one too? And she's like, I don't know how to say this, and it's just like, and yeah, I mean, like, look, like, I'm like, whatever. I still booked 3 spots during that time. Like, I still am like, I did good work. And it's interesting, like, you just backing off of what Yumari said. It is kind of like this thing of like, you do good work. And if you don't get called back or you don't get put on a veil, it's something outside of it, because I mean, like, we we didn't just start yesterday. We've been doing this for like well over a decade. And, people know our work and they know what we bring in. So I totally trust that. And I try not to get in my head. I mean, we're actors. So like, sometimes I'm like, but why didn't I get a call back for that? That was good. But it's like, oh, because my essence wasn't really that. And someone else's is just that. And like, they don't have to work for it. And I kind of do, you know what I mean?
It's so
So
funny. I had a call back for a Nissan spot and, I was like, oh, I thought I did like really good. And then I saw the spot and I saw who booked it. And it's like, she is that. She is that girl. And it's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like
Right.
I had to put something on,
Yeah.
right? She didn't. She just was like in. It's like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when it's really easy and it's just like you do it kind of effortless, there's a reason that happens. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no one can imitate that. No one can do that because it's just like easy and it just fits you. So like I try and like remember that because it gets hard and you're like, and then you get recast and you're like, F you. But then it's like, okay, this is champagne problems, I guess, because I never got this when I was first starting out, and I barely booked. So, it is what it is.
I'm sorry to say this, but I'm so happy that has happened to you guys because that for me was so like traumatizing. It was part of the reason why I even like started Line Runner Tapes because I was like, I do not want to just depend on this one thing. And it was so stressful and like it happens to all of us. Like I'm not happy that it happened to you, but it's like it fucking happens to all of us, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, uh, do you guys ever go through like little lulls where you're like, oh, like I haven't booked in a couple of months? And do you guys, one, go through that? And two, what do you do as far as mindset stuff when that happens? Anybody?
I'll start. I'll start. Um, you know, I do go through lulls. Like, and it's funny. I heard some, and you already said like you can't be greedy. It's true. Like one time I had a friend, she was like, "Oh my god, my agent said that like sometimes you got to like be on the back burner and you can't like book all the jobs." And it's like you can't book all the jobs. Like it's just not. It's like a season. It's like, oh, now they're seeing people that are not in your category, or people that are a little older, or people that are like just like you're not auditioning. Like that's just it's not the time that they're booking your type. They're booking this other type. And so yeah, maybe I don't get out as much and I have like lulls in that, but I feel like I try and keep myself, I'm really grateful. I still audition theatrically and things like and stay very active in that. So I'm just grateful that I have that too. And I know that like our job as an actor is auditioning. Like that's my job. And when I get to set, that's like the easy part. Like that's easy. I don't like I'm like, ooh, sets easy. But like it's this that it's like the day-to-day, the auditioning, the callbacks, the pins, the avails, the whole. And I just try and keep myself like in a way of like what can I do for myself? What can I do for my career? I do things that like still keep me in the groove of everything too, like whether it's like listening to a podcast that's about the industry or like doing some like self-tape coaching with like different coaches that I like to work with and stuff, whether it be theatrically or commercially, whatever I feel like, oh, that was like a weird audition. I used to have this guy that I would always work with a lot, and we haven't worked together in a minute, but I'd be like, that was a weird audition. I just want to like do that and just like see what I did weird and see what could have come out of it. Cause I want to practice when I'm not in the room, So just being proactive a little bit. And also like, yeah, it's like you gotta find ways to like find your joy and like be grateful for like the little things because you can't just be like super like on a high when you book something and then like you don't book because that's gonna burn out. So I try not to like be like, I booked it. Yeah. I just like everything's like a little bit of a like, oh great, that office is bringing me in again. Great. Okay, cool.
Love
You
it.
know?
What about you, Susan? Do you ever go
Last
lulls
time,
or,
of
like,
course, last time I had a lull, I freaked out. And then I was like, oh, do I need to change my look? And even my agent was like, well, maybe we need to get a new haircut. You need to change your glasses. And like, so then even her saying all this, I'm like she also feels it too, right? So we're like, so I was like sending her these like shag mullety crazy hairstyles. I'm like, it's gonna be blonde and we're gonna do a whole new thing, right? And then and then I didn't. But to get out of that, I just have to like remember, like I just have to focus on myself, like literally just book a trip somewhere and then
Mhm.
you will book a job, because it's always like anytime I try to like get away and make time for myself. And when you kind of put this energy of like, I don't need you industry energy out there, that's when they're like, please, we want you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a toxic
I
relationship.
love it because every time, when I'm telling you, every trip that I take,
Yeah.
I have to deal with,
I book,
oh shit, I just booked something. How do I make all of
So
this?
great.
you got to do refundable. Everything has to, I'll pay a premium for refundable just because I will
Uh-huh.
always be making
Always
changes. Yeah.
refundable. God, yes, refundable.
If anybody gets a tip out of this conversation, I think that's one of them, because
Mhm.
I'm an idiot. And the last one, I was like, I didn't fucking refund it. Like now, like I know this. I know
Yeah.
this. And it happens every time. So I'm an idiot. What about
Yeah.
you?
I'm gonna have to co-sign that. Please, people, get, insurance for your trips, because it's true, and you're gonna be mad and you're gonna stay mad because that's how it works. Yeah, lulls happen. I had a huge lull after my maternity leave, and then that lull was in combination with like being in this, my mind was in two places. I was feeling rusty. I was feeling not myself in a new body, and also kind of like not present in the room, which is when you're not present for a commercial audition, you're not getting a call back.
Mm-mm.
You're not getting a call back. So you need to be present. You need to be alive. You need to, from action, decide you're drinking a cup of coffee. I'm heading this way. This is where my line is. And I got to be listening to my person no matter what the energy that he gives me. I need to respond. We're in the same world, so you got to be present. And so I went through a lull because I was just performing and I wasn't present. I was still auditioning, I guess, but I wasn't booking. There's also different lulls, right? There are lulls when, like Bianca touched on, they're not hiring your look. They're not looking for ethnically ambiguous, Latina, people with curly hair, freckles, whatever. I also go through lulls where, and this is the champagne problem lulls, when you book so much, you have too many conflicts.
Yeah.
So you can't go out for quick service, you can't go out for cars, you can't go out for internet. So then you're just sitting at home racking up money, but you're not auditioning. So in that time, what do? Good to listen to the podcast, go to class, invest in your career, because you're not going out, but things are still evolving. So the next time you go into a room, you better be knowing that things have changed from the last year or so, going out for this and that. I, things can get dark, and especially coming off this strike, things have been and are still dark for some, and everything's a mindset. What's in will also be out. And I don't want to throw any kind of woo-woo washy like granola type stuff to anybody, but I firmly believe that whatever you believe in, that is what will be your reality. So if you think you won't be successful, then you won't. So the thing that saves me and kind of gets me out of the mental lull is knowing that my booking is just right there. If I just take that next step, I have to have unwavering faith, because like whatever I'm chasing is also coming towards me. That's my philosophy. It works for me.
Great. Thank you. Do you guys treat your commercial work differently than your theatrical work?
Not really. Like, it's just a shorter form. Like, yes, it's a different genre for sure. And like, the dry, the deadpan, they love that. But it's all like Yamari was saying, it's all just like grounded, and like you're present in it and you're reacting. And you know what I mean? Like the more you can just see them as like similar but different, like they're just kind of like stepbrothers. Like they're just
I like how you said it's like a different genre, but it's still like it's a different genre, but
It's
it's still
It's a different genre is accurate.
Yeah, it's a different genre, but like you still have to do the work and you still have to research and you still have to know what you're going in for and you still have to like, you know, be prepared. Like I had a girlfriend and she was like, I love commercials because like I don't have to prepare anything and I just show up and be myself. And I'm like, yes, true-ish, but I still, you know, prepare in the way of like, okay, what did their last commercial look like? Or when was their last commercial? Like what do the people look like in there? Like what is this? And if you have the director, any sort of like info on director when you get to the audition, that's cool too. But like, yeah, it's just like it's similar but different. Yeah.
What do you think, Susan?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I haven't gone out theatrically in a little bit. That's why I'm like, I don't even remember. I mean, yeah, you know, Kaz always helps you with my theatrical auditions. I'm not always going out for like comedy in theatrical. So it's different in that like in commercials I have a lot of sense of play and literally I love to just make myself laugh and be silly. So it's a little loosey goosey. I kind of do whatever I want and I'm just like fuck it, I don't care, and like I don't care if it fits the rules. This is what I'm gonna do. If I was doing a theatrical comedy, you kind of do need to hit a little bit more like the thingies, you know what I mean?
What that last self-tape that we did that you ended up booking, like we added a bunch of stuff in there that I feel like
right.
It.
Yeah, that was a little bit more fun. And that one, it wasn't like a multi-cam sitcom. And it wasn't
multi-cam.
It wasn't like,
right.
Yeah, like, you know, like those Nickelodeon ones that we've done. It's just so like, and I can't like be loosey goosey with that. You know, I'm always scared. I'm like, gotta hit the turn, or I don't know. But yes, if it's like a grounded kind of dark comedy stuff, then yes, I will kind of treat it like similarly, where it's like, you know, I could just improv and like blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think theatrically, I'm always like, because I'm not where I am commercially, I'm not theatrically. And so there is a little bit more of a little bit more right for theatrical, but commercials, I don't really care. I'm just like,
so maybe it's about bringing some of that commercial.
I know to the theatrical.
Just saying. And two more questions. Have you noticed the money be different in commercials in the last couple of years? Do you still see them being like, I mean, the business is changing
Can I actually answer your last question?
Yes, please.
The thing I think I notice a lot of people separate commercial and theatrical because I think I approach any audition the same as like, I do a lot of research on the back end, so I'm as informed presenting, like whether it's a commercial or it's a show. I'm looking at the director, what the casting director cast, what people wore, so that I already fit the world. So that already works, okay? Like, you know, whatever. So, but I think what people still don't bridge about being grounded in commercials is that, like, you know, when you audition for theatrical stuff, when you watch your tape, it has to be like you just changed the channel and you're watching someone in the middle of a scene. That's what makes a theatrical audition work. It's the same for commercials. Like, you can't perform a laugh. If you can't laugh, if something's not funny for you in the commercial audition, then don't fucking laugh. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be funny to you, and you have to sell what the thing that stays with me the most when I got really serious about my commercial game is I took a commercial workshop and they told me, if you believe, they believe, right? So if you are believing yourself in the situation, they will believe it. But that goes far beyond, like, a lot of people look at their tape and they're like, yeah, I'm happy with that. And it's like, no, babe, like, you look like you're looking for nothing in the back of your trunk. Yeah. Like, when you're looking for something, it's small, like you're looking in the crevices and you spend each time, and it has to be specific. So when you get a commercial audition, like, take some time to, like, you know, be present and be specific in your choices, as specific as you would be in your theatrical auditions.
I love that.
But there is also sometimes in commercial world where it's like loony. Like I sent it to Yamari today. I was playing foosball and I don't have a foosball table, you know? So I'm literally like, and like, it's crazy town a little bit, you know what I mean? So in that aspect,
It was real because she shared the tape with me and it looked like she was playing foosball.
Yeah,
And
so
she was
at the end
having
of the day, would you
moments where
believe
she was
it?
looking at nobody, you know, and you think that she's looking at somebody and she has an attitude with literally nobody in her apartment, but you believe it. So that's what I mean. It's like it's specific work, you know?
It's
Oh,
very
okay.
specific work. Yumari, so is there any trends or anything as far as like, do you think how do you feel the money has changed or evolved? Or are there any trends that you've noticed in the last couple of years that you may want to share as far as whether that's in self-tapes, whether that's in-person auditions, whether that's acting type, whatever, what have you noticed?
I don't know anything about the money. Like, I'm not someone who knows the business model, the contracts. I just want my checks to be sent in a timely manner. That's it. But from what I've been told, because again, I got my bigger break starting in like 2018, and by that point, people weren't like buying houses anymore from their commercial money, right? So like, I work exclusively as an actor, and I don't have any side jobs. And it's because of the money I've made over the last several years that I save. You know what I mean? Like, but it's residual money. So I have been lucky enough, like Bianca, to work a few spots that are general and Spanish market. So I'm getting twice as much, and then I'm getting twice the residuals. So those have really kind of made my year, right?
Qué bueno, qué bueno.
Que bueno, no? And I also book, I would say, exclusively national spots. I don't work non-union spots. So I'm not getting buyouts. I'm getting residual money, and I just cross my fingers that they air or they don't recast me. And so on average, I would say I book like 3 spots a year, you know, and I can make money off that. And I've also been lucky that some of my spots have been renegotiated. And so when they're renegotiated, you get a lump sum, you know, and you just got to be smart about spending. But I don't know the trends financially, and I don't know what contracts kind of are, what they should be or should look like. We should all across industry be paid more.
Yeah.
But and then as far as acting, I would say the trend right now is if you can sell the deadpan, like the dry deadpan, nothing. So like, you know, no broadness, nothing too big. Like my note is also most of the time like less, nothing. Don't even breathe. You know, like it's
Yeah.
so it's that. And so knowing like that they're calling you in because they like your look and not necessarily because they want you to like dance monkey dance. You know what I mean? So just say the words sometimes and have confidence that your essence will sell the vibe.
Yeah. And be specific at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
have specificity.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Can I just say about, wait, Yamara, you were saying about, oh my God. Oh shoot.
Grounded. She was saying grounded. She's the money. No, she doesn't know anything about that.
Oh wait, no, wait, what were you saying? Oh, about the deadpan thing? Yes. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so it's so interesting. I feel like when they want you to go big, but even like sometimes I'll go to first calls and it's bigger, and then I get to the callback and it's like, yeah, you're not doing that anymore. And it's like, oh God, great. And so like it's so interesting. I always kind of had trouble with the deadpan because it was just like I was just dead. And so my friend was like, no, just like think of like you have to have something behind your eyes still. So like maybe you can connect to like what it smells like in that scenario or something. And I was like, ooh, then that has really helped me. Like, what does it smell like here? Like to just be like a little bit, just a little like turned in and just a little like in the moment of it, so that I'm not thinking about being deadpan, but I'm thinking about something else. I'm like, yeah, it smells good. You know what I mean? Also, my parents are actors. They started doing commercials like 10 years ago. And so I really like, I'm so humbled, and I'm always just like so grateful because I get to like live vicariously through their auditions sometimes too. And my mom goes like, what do you think I should do here? I'm like, oh, and she's like, they want it really ground. I was like, yeah. So like, say it to yourself. And so she's like, I got a call back for the one where I said it to myself. And I'm like, I think that it's more, less is more, for sure, for sure, for sure.
And Susan, you just do the deadpan thing, which is your specialty. And
Mhm. And she's good
Yeah,
at
I
it.
mean, I don't know, but yes, I think deadpan, and also really just grounded, like real acting. Like it's
Mhm.
I've been seeing like and this is kind of similar to theatrical, where like Kaz, you always be like, well, what are you looking at? Are you looking at this person walking away? Like everything, when you look at someone's phone, really see what is happening and then register what's happening. They want to see all the little minute details, because a lot of these commercial directors also are like movie directors, and like they direct a lot of like TV shows or whatnot, and the good acting needs to be there, even if it's like comedic or whatever. Like you need to show everything, because you know what I mean. Anyways, but I do have a thought about money or
Ooh,
about the
let's hear it.
finances. I feel like it is going well, just because from a consumer standpoint, and this is part of the whole strike for theatrical last year, but everything is shifting to streaming. And right now, our streaming, you can do a year buyout for like what, 7K or something like that.
Yeah.
So some commercials.
I just got one of
What?
those. I just got a streaming one, and I was like, this is the first time. Yes.
So sometimes you could just do a commercial, and a lot of commercials are only doing streaming now, because that's where a lot of the viewers are. They're going away from linear TV, which is like network, class A, not even doing cable, and they're only doing streaming. So a lot of these, it's just shrinking, I feel,
Okay.
But I
Okay.
do, can I just say one thing? Because remember when we renegotiated, and then some people had the option to like do the new contract that was 2020 or do the 2016. And in 2020, when those new contracts came out and it was like bundles, it was like a 3,000, a 5,000, a 8,000. I feel like one of my commercials got in that new contract, and then the rest have really been the 2016 contract.
Same. I only had one that was 2020.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's interesting.
What was the difference between the two though?
It was like a buyout-ish
Yeah,
thing,
it was
where it's
buyout.
like you know how much you're gonna be getting.
Yeah.
And they would just distribute the money from, like, I think mine was the Matthew McConaughey one, and it was like one that was like for 20,000. And so you got like a lump sum, and then they kind of distributed their money. I don't really know how it works.
And then if they go over the 20 grand, then they pay you according. Yeah. I've had a little bit of that. So yeah.
But I didn't think it was like different. I don't know. I don't know. Everything else has been regular negotiation, or regular.
I will say that even if it is shrinking, which I'm not denying that, I will say that, celebrities are more and more in commercials. So that should tell actors like there's a lot of money in commercials. So you might want to get serious about your commercial game,
100%, because even if it is shrinking, it's still more than sometimes like a co-star or like a guest star spot. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think it should be frowned upon, looked upon differently than like any other work.
Right. And I think people less and less frown upon it. Like it wasn't like when I first moved here in 2009, where like, I'm not from LA and I was new to acting, and so I didn't come here to act in commercials. You know what I mean? But I don't think now in 2024 people would lovingly, do commercials. I'm saying like take it serious then. Like when you get that self-tape, don't be like, I just got off my serving job and now I got to do this self. Let me hook up my lights and let me just keep my, tea on. It's like, no, because that comes through too. Like if you're in the tape, you can see it in your tape, and like,
And you're also going up against people that are like you, Yumari, who has done all this research, who have all of this,
Right.
you know, experience.
Like take it seriously, because then
Yeah.
you can be disappointed that you don't book or that you didn't get a call back, but like that disappointment shouldn't be a projection. It should be,
Mhm.
kind of a retrospective thing. Like, well, did you do all you could do though? Like I wanted to say this because in conversation with Susan, we were talking about what we would talk about at this conversation. I said my thing that I really wanted to contribute is how much pride I take in my wardrobe. And like one, I already love to dress. You know what I mean? So that's something that's not too much of a task for me. But I really am mindful about what I wear to auditions and I get the feedback. Like the people are telling me like, like and the more I go to fittings, I dress like that at the fittings too. Like even though they're dressing me, I'm wearing my Q shoes, my this because I want to leave an impression and I want for them to remember me and I want for whatever in the universe has in store. If the stylist is someday a commercial director, she'll be like, that bitch who had those Misa shoes on, let's get her in. You know what I mean? So anyway, but long story short, at least dress for the occasion, people, because I go into auditions and I'm like, what is sis wearing? Like she looks like she just came from the gym.
You know
No.
who's judging over here in the
I'm not judging. I'm flabbergasted. I'm just
No,
like,
but the wardrobe is a big part
girl.
of it. No, wardrobe is a big part of it. And I like that you
You're
say that because
funny.
it does make you feel good too. And you're just like, I look cute. I look cute.
yes.
You know what I mean? They're like, yes, I love I love that. I love that.
Yumari, you're not judging, you're flabbergasted is probably one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Yeah.
Punto y coma, te la comiste. One last question because I want to honor you guys' time. I know that sometimes actors feel challenged by like, how do I become one of the people that like my agent, sends out on a consistent basis, or how do I stay in communication with my agent? Do you guys have any insight, any tips for that on how to create a bond or just, stay top of mind for your agent?
Book work. I like book work. Like get called back, get put on a veil. Like just book it because and like just get like that sort of like where she has to be
Momentum.
texting you, yeah, and telling you like, hey, because then you just and then like you'll have conversations and be like, oh, what's going on with you? And it's just like, yeah, I just think that like staying relevant in that way is the best way. Or if you have like a comedy show or if you did this thing, but like I don't believe in like reaching out every couple of weeks and stuff. Like I don't do that.
Okay. Susan?
Well, I'll say yes, and all of that, and be a hustler. Like I'm not someone who says no to requests. I don't, if I booked out and I was explicit about my book out and I even said I don't have my equipment and I get a self tape, I'm doing the self tape. You know what I mean? I will find the best scenario to do the self. Like I am a hustler. Like I will go to every audition. I will make the callback. I will be at a fitting and try to go to my callback. Like I'm trying to make it all happen. That's another way because they're like, okay, she wants to work. So be willing to work,
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, just work hard, hustle. Don't be a pain in the butt. Whenever like you're on their radar, just like have it could be good things. Like, don't be like, hey, I can't make this, or can you reschedule? Like, they don't have time for that. You know what I mean? Just like make it work. If I can't make that time, I will go early and like be like, hey, can you see me right now? Or if not, I'll be like, can I come back? You know what I mean? I don't even bother my agents with that kind of stuff. And
100%.
so, yeah, whenever they reach out to me, it's like an avail or a booking. And then it's like, hey, what are you doing? Now I'm BFFs with my agent. So that's how you do it.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times we get like caught up on how to get in contact. And I do think that it's like, if you take a class, like write them and be like, hey, I just took a class or anything that you have done on your own time to like hustle, letting them know that, because I always like to kind of equate agents to like a coach, and actors are your team, and there's people that you're gonna put on, like, who are gonna be your starters. You're gonna put your starters, the people that are gonna swing and that are gonna hit home runs, right? Like that is because you want to win, right? So how do you do that? And it's like, well, if you're getting callbacks, if you're getting avails, then they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this person's just ready to get that home run or to get that booking. And it's like, that is really how you become one of the people that become a starter. That's how Jordan, I'm totally saying how old I am. So like LeBron or these guys are the first six on the court. It's, or however people are in a basketball court, but it's because they deliver, right? And until you get to, it's almost like you have to prove yourself to get to that point. But I think some ways it's like you said, it's like hustling, making sure that you're on time, making sure you're making all the auditions, like turning everything in. They notice that shit.
Yeah.
Be a
and if-
professional, you know?
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you're rusty, fam, like get in class. Like if you're not getting callbacks, take a class because you will learn something, okay? And a lot of casting offices offer classes. So you're getting to show your work and they will remember you. You know what I mean? But like don't be above taking classes. Like don't. Simply don't.
Last year, I was like, I don't want to see this casting office. And I thought they had like some improv for actors class. But the last week you get to meet with the casting director and she gives you redirects and she gives you an audition. And I was like, oh, cool. This will be just worth it to just like do some improv. And then I'll meet this casting director. And literally like it paid off. I was like on a veil for something for her office within that year. I was like, great. Like she called me in, which she maybe would have, but I don't know. Like I just hadn't been in there in a while. And I was like, I need to do, why not? I'll take this improv class. Why not? I can always get better at improv. Why not?
Exactly.
You're also not making them like you as an actor. You're making them like you because you're cool. So then they are like rooting for you in a genuine way instead of being like, oh, well, she can deliver. It's like, oh no, Bianca's cool. Like, of course, call her in. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for your time. Honestly, I feel like I learned a lot of stuff. I feel like it was so insightful for me. So
Me too.
I really appreciate your time and for sharing. There's a lot of actors that are starting off or not in the position that you ladies are in, and they will very much appreciate like all of this insight. I feel like everyone has such a distinct point of view, and I hope that whomever, whatever type of listening somebody has, that each of you guys were able to speak to that part of them and sort of help them elevate and hopefully get them to where they want to be.
Yay.
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 Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Good to see you, Mark.
Gracias, de verdad. I really appreciate it.
Gracias.
Quiero
Adios.
mucho. Abrazo. You're now speaking Spanish.
Adios. Bye.
Besitos. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Aw.